When this group reassembles on election night, along with a host of other office holders, analysts, and journalists, they'll have plot lines they want to watch. Our task in the next few minutes is to explore those a little bit. So, Laura, let me ask you, what are you looking for in what jumps out at you in these New Mexico races as an overall plot line? What are you looking for?
Well, I don't know that I'm looking for anything in particular, but I'm definitely noticing sort of what effect I think the presidential and the Senate race and the local congressional races will have on some of these smaller races. I think that's really the coattails. Whereas 2 years ago, we really saw, on the Democrat side at least, not a lot of coattails to ride. It was a very difficult race for the governor, for the Democrats, for the governor. Obviously, we lost. And so there was an effect from Susana Martinez's race. Now we're looking at this one where I think there's coattails for the Democrats in certain pockets.
How impactful is no straight party ticket voting?
I think it will be impactful in some of those areas because there's basically, especially when you see a huge ballot with lots of bond questions, lots of judicial races going on right now, people get tired. I mean, by the time they get to the end of it, they're like, I'm done, especially if they've been waiting in line or anything like that. So any kind of problem where there's a delay at the voting booth, I think will impact people's ability to stick it out to the very end.
Tom, that reminds me of last week, a couple of weeks ago, we had the UNM President Dr. Frank here with some other folks talking about, bond issue C, and he actually made the point, it's the last one on the ballot. Go vote for that one first, and then go back to the top. That was a brilliant way to pitch that. What are some of the narratives you're seeing and sensing out there?
Well, what I'm going to be very interested in is the early voting. Who got their folks out for early voting? How is that going to play out? Because that's basically enough to tilt different races one way or another.
You can even call some with just early voting on some of them.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. So that will tell me who's responding to what. Now, if we're able to break it down by who voted how on which day, then that'll be even more interesting. But I'm not holding out a breath on that.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's interesting. Sophie,
You've actually brought up the two things that I'm most interested in. The straight party ticket, it will be interesting to compare how it was before and whether, as the Republicans hope, Democrats will break away and vote for Republicans in some seats or just not undervote, not vote at all for particular candidates. With the early voting as well, that who's getting the vote out, as Bernalillo County makes voting easier and easier, you can early vote in any location within Bernalillo County, what impact that will have on voting in this district and what we can expect to see as that movement grows.
Sure. Are you surprised that the race between Mr. Heinrich and Ms. Wilson has held as long as it hasn't tightened up at all at this late time? Are you surprised by that?
I am actually less surprised than I thought I would be. Okay. This is sort of maybe the best way to put it. Yeah. I think that Heather Wilson came into this race extraordinarily well known. And we talk about undecided voters. Undecided voters don't typically suddenly realize that somebody they know really well is somebody they want to vote for. So being such a known quantity doesn't necessarily help you with that community. And so I haven't been that surprised.
Sure. Dan, if you want to touch on that, but also some narratives you're looking for.
Well, there's a lot to talk about. One, I would tell you, I think the Wilson-Heinrich race is a lot closer than the polls are saying. I think the universe is skewed. I think Brian Sanderoff and those guys have been using a model based on the last presidential election, and we know those numbers aren't the same. I think they've oversampled Democrats, and we know that according to the rubrics of what Brian Sanderoff has been doing, they're expecting a 60% turnout by Hispanics in New Mexico, and that would be of epic proportion. Sure. I mean, usually a big turnout on the Hispanic side is about 45%. So I think this race, some internal polls that I've been hearing have this race today within 1 point between Heather and Heinrich, and I think that there's some opportunity for some change still to happen in the next few days. So I'm not ruling out that Heather could pull out a victory here. I think it's going to have a lot to do with how the presidential race goes for Heather Wilson. It's going to also have a lot to do with how down south goes. She's been spending a lot of time down south stumping with Steve Pearce, and Steve Pearce is on board. And if that can help her, if she can get more of those folks out, they're going to be aggressive for Mitt Romney in southern New Mexico. And we know what happens in the South. When the South turns out to vote in southern New Mexico, it's heavy Republican. They vote well, they get in there, and they hit all those buttons. So I think this could be a lot different at that level. I think the overall thing to talk about that we're going to talk more about at election night, and I think in the days coming up, is one going to be the effect on the governor. And the governor has put a lot of skin in this election. She's put a lot of capital on the line. I've personally said that I don't think it hurts her at all. I think it helps her, in my opinion, does it help her a little bit, or does it help her a lot?
Yeah.
And I think the lot comes with the wins. The other one that I want to say that I think is going to be important to watch is going to watch how the backlash to folks like Harvey Yates, who came out and openly endorsed former Republican Party chairman, openly endorsed Tim Jennings down there in a race that every poll is saying is neck and neck, to see how that's going to play out as the election goes and after the election. I mean, here's a man who was chairman of the Republican Party, and I think that's going to really affect him and others.
Wrote some big checks
Yes, he
over the
did.
years. Big checks. I want to stay on Dan's point about the governor and the narrative there. What's your sense of how this all turns out for her, potentially one way or the other? If she runs the table with those that she supports, what happens? If she doesn't, what happens then?
Well, I think if she runs the table, then I think she's got a much easier chance of getting her election.
Towards the table, she's got House, Senate,
Her
and
What does she
election.
want to do? Yeah.
Laura, her election through. I'm not as aggressive as I need to be against Dan. No, in any event, I do think that she'll have an easier go of it.
Sure.
I think that when, if she doesn't, I think a lot of these races she may not be, on the winning side of. She's going to have a lot more trouble than before. It's going to be that much more difficult to get her agenda through. I think there's going to have to be a period of her working through leadership, trying to figure out how to get, in any way she can, some of the pieces of her agenda through.
Tom, to finish this point with you, I'm hearing people saying already that, this next session we can't expect much to come out of the Senate because of all the hard feelings that could still be there if Democrats hold the Senate, which it looks like, it would take a lot to do that. It's going to be all memorials and all this other stuff because nobody's going to want to play ball. So where do we all end up with at the end of the day?
Well, there's a couple, this is going to sound, news headlines here. I think she needs Michael Sanchez in his role as Senate Majority Leader because if for some reason he does not win re-election, and I think that he will, you're going to have a huge power grab. Where you could really have even a greater gridlock than you've seen before in the Senate.
Right. That's right. Dan, would you agree with that quickly? Is that likely?
No, I
outcome?
think she wants Michael Sanchez gone. I think to Laura's point and to Tom's point, I think that there can be no more gridlock for her getting her stuff through. She hasn't gotten any of it through. So it's not like miraculously she was getting stuff through and now she's not. She's getting nothing. So for her in the Senate, I think the best thing that can happen is Michael Sanchez for her be gone. I think it really puts people on notice. I think that you're going to wind up with people that are more. You take out someone like Michael Sanchez, whoever the next guy is, does not want that coming back to haunt them. They don't want that money in their race. They're probably more likely to stand up and play ball.
I think at the same time, if Governor Martinez gets everything that she seems to wish for, she then faces this for the next 2 years. What is she going to do to move the state forward? Because right now she can say, I can't do it, Michael Sanchez, can't do it because of this and that.
Be careful what you wish for.
But we have yet to see from her a real agenda for progress, for economic development, for movement in the state. And so, be careful what you wish for.
There you go. Martha Burke in Wedge Issues when we return.